Right. Sound enabled. Without further ado, spawning here in the bottom left as an atmosphere. Give it up for the blue Protoss from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Zest. Spawning in the top right in the red from Dragon Phoenix Gaming as well is the Terran known as Cure. So, Probe going to be coming across full Zest, looking to get a bit of pressure on, as normal. See the SCVs just trying to keep Probe away. Kind of a really bad game of hot potato. Trying to keep that hot potato away from danger. Yeah, we'll see kind of where they want to go with this. Now, being teammates, a lot of times we do see kind of more crazier strats, obviously. Zest and Cure are going to be more practice partners, so they do kind of know each other's styles, which, in all honesty, does make the games a lot more interesting. You're definitely a player that isn't afraid to proxy in a series like this, as well as, you know, maybe play a more aggressive style. So, we'll see what ends up happening. Other side, of course, there's going to be a Cybernetic core, followed up by what looks like to be an expansion for Zest, which eventually we'll see. Does he go into Stalkers? Will he go into Adepts? And will he actually go into a Stargate style, or will he go into that more kind of Link Stalker style that he enjoys going? So CC goes down for Cure. Nexus, of course, already down for Zest. Behind this, eventually we're going to see that Cybernetic core finish up. Of course, on Cure's side, we do have the factory coming through. Allow him to start teching into Widow Mines for drops. Go up even into maybe some tanks, some Cyclones, something crazy. It is going to be an Adept opening for Zest. We'll see what kind of tech pathing he wants to choose for this. Will he go into the Robo? Will he go into Gate? What really is he looking to go into? It's going to be a second Adept. It's more than likely would be a Stargate, but in fact, it is going to be that Twilight Council. So, going to be going into Blink, maybe even Charge. We have seen Zest kind of go into the Glaze often as well. So, we will see. Right. Starport coming through. You see the factory Widow Mine being built, so it is going to be a drop coming out from Cure. We'll see behind this where he really wants to go. Depth's not going to be able to get in. Going to shade into the natural. Of course, we do have the Marines in place, so we'll see from there everything kind of goes. Now the Adepts do end up shading out. Doesn't look like they really got too many kills. No kills at all. So very good job there from Cure. Of course, we do have the first Widow Mine out, a second Widow Mine on the way. Of course, given how the two Adepts did open up, it does make Cure a little bit cautious of there might be a Stargate out on the map. And in fact, it is going to be Blink coming out from Zest. It's adding on those additional gateways and even adding on the robotics facility. Eventually going to be able to get the observers, can even get the War Prism and even Colossus Disruptors, wherever he really wants to go with this. Now, the Adept does come across the map looking and scouting, but doesn't look like he's actually going to find the medevac. A huge pick off there, or at least a nice escape. So, Blink about finish. We do have the War Prism on the way. Or Stalkers in a decent position, kind of going in between the ramps. Blink is now completed, so he's going to have to be careful. Here comes that medevac. Widow Mine's going to drop down into the main base. Of course, Probe's going to get pulled. Eventually, once it does go down, good blink forward. Eventually, the last Widow Mine does hit the Stalkers. Off one of them. Eventually does get cleaned up. Even the medevac gets taken out, so definitely not worth it for it. Basically a single stalker. By that, we do have a Raven. Of course, additional barracks going down for Cure. Zest, though, just going to continue building into those probes, eventually looking to take a third base, potentially. But he is going to send out these stalkers. Now, with the Warp Prism across the map and those Adepts in the Warp Prism itself, this is going to allow him to blink forward. Now, there's only one tank here so far. That is a lot of Marines and a Raven who kind of shut down anything additional coming out through here. There is an SCV out in the front for scouting reasons. Eventually going to blink forward. Of course, the SCV is going to get pulled. Not going to be there in time. Eventually, we are going to see those Marines falling forward. Of course, the Adepts do come in. The tank's going to reposition themselves. Eventually, we'll have to blink back. And a really good blink there coming out from Zest. Cure losing a 9 probes so far. More probes eventually will fall, but the gas going to go down as well, which will make it a little bit tougher. Blinking forward does pick off one of the tanks. Second tank still on the high ground. He needs to kind of move his Warp Prism out of the way, or at least more towards that tank. Tank, though, is going to be positioned. You do see the Raven coming through, and this siege tank, or excuse me, orbital, it's getting very, very low. 17, 18, 20. And more probes going to be coming down, trying to heal it up as much as possible, but will eventually end up losing that CC. And Zest going to get the victory here in game number 1. Jeez. Alrighty, spawning here in the top right, showing some really good blink play. See what he's got in store for game number 2. It is Zest, Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Bottom left, his teammate, the Terran in red. But up, it is Cure. It's game number 2 here on Becca Industries, which I don't mind for drops. I don't mind for these kind of more pressured attacks. We'll be curious to see where Zest wants to go with this, because there are a couple of nice little spots for blink play. Now, obviously, if you do set a tank up towards the top, you can kind of defend the natural as well as the third, so that will make it a little bit tougher. But coming through the back, you might have a little bit easier time. Well, Stargate play going to be a good option on this map as well. Zest, once again, just being annoying as all get out. Well, he is going to be going into that gate. Getting gas, and then eventually we should see an expansion coming down. Yeah, we'll see kind of where he wants to go with this in game number 2. Obviously, the blink play going to play a very good role, and the fact that he was able to kill off the mines, kill off the medevac, basically this whole build-up that Cure was doing in game number 1, just kind of shut it down, and was able to essentially counterattack and win that game. Now, Cure definitely is no stranger to Protoss, and I am curious to see how he changes this up. I don't think we'll see any mech from him, but maybe ends up having to go into more cheesier routes. You see that a lot of times from Terrans or just people in general. If they're not very confident against the person that they're playing against, they do end up cheesing a little bit. But so far it's going to be the reactor barracks. Very interesting. He does have the expansion down. He's going to go into Marines here, but does not have a factory. In fact, going to go into a second barracks. And I don't know. This kind of feels very, very off from Cure. This is going to be a Twilight Council for Zest, so we're going to see a lot of the same kind of style as the previous game. But, again, why such a late barracks? Maybe like a 16 Marine drop or something, but still, that's going to be a lot late. It does throw down a third barracks as well, so going to go in this like third racks opening. And we do see Cure finishing up his expansion. And now the adapt here for Zest. Of course, shade forward, not going to get the complete. Yeah, eventually just kind of back up, waiting for the second adept. No, it's just going to go into, then go into a stalker behind this. So looks like it's going to be a lot of the same kind of styling as the previous game. Of course, he will be able to have an extra stalker or so. Ready, the Marines looking for blood. Looks like they're going to find their mark. Now, this does give an opportunity for the Adept to kind of shade in once again. May not be able to complete the shade, just looking for the completion, but he's just going to die. Unfortunate there. Stim on the way. Of course, we do got more Marines coming through here. Now, on the other side, it is going to be just a couple of Stalkers and a robotics facility, but... what is Cure doing? Is he just looking for proxies at this point? I guess so. I guess he is looking for like the proxy, maybe pick up a War Prism. Blink almost finished up. Eventually we'll see the Stalkers coming through. And we do now have Stim almost done. Combat shields done. Finally, the factory going to be coming down for Cure. And yeah, getting upgrades, just getting everything rolling. Just kind of an odd choice. I know that like the 3 racks is something that is viable, but it feels like they usually get the racks a lot quicker. And here we go again. The Blink going to be coming towards the front. Now, because Cure did go through his 3 racks, he does not have any tanks to help defend against us. Marines, though, do have Sims, so they are not going to start pushing forward. There's only a couple of Marauders with this, trying to focus down the War Prism. Actually, we'll be able to push this back. War Prism just so low. Yeah, Cure just going to back it up. Realizes he doesn't need to really go fully out, but also at the same time, we do see Cure finally getting the starport so he can make medevacs. Now, the bad thing with this is every time he does stim, it is going to cost him some health. So the more that Zest does this, the less health they're going to have until he can get out the medevacs. So Zest just kind of has to keep poking in, keep forcing the stims, and eventually he can kind of overrun this. So Marine's going to stim once again. Does pick off a single Stalker. Looks like the War Prism going to try to go into the main base. And yeah, it's going to be able to kill off a couple of SCVs that were trying to be used to defend. Blinking forward once again. Yeah, I mean, Zest is trying to get in here. But I think Cure actually sees this. Yeah, he sees it kind of floating in and out at this moment. So I don't think Zest is actually going to be able to get in. At the same time, every time he goes into the main base to try to defend, Stalkers just keep putting the pressure. Another stim. Eventually, we are going to see those medevacs come out, so that does make it a little bit easier. But, yeah. Now, Immortals are on the way. +1 and charge coming through here for Zest. Of course, he does have that robotics bay, which will allow him to make disruptors, or even just go into Colossus at this point. Colossus on the way, extend Thermalence as well, and finally we are going to see that War Prism come in, but a little bit of a mistake. We have to back up. Again, getting so close. No, he's just going to go right after it. Yeah. Aside, there's a third base going for Zest. Cure still hasn't been able to take a third, but it looks like he might go for a pressure. Let's give a scan, sees that there's no observers with his own army. We'll take a third at the same time, pushing across the map. There are more Stalkers, though. That is a huge Terran army. He's just going to stem forward, going to force the Blink back. And now the Marines, the Marauders, going to start pushing across. Just have to be careful, though, because there are those Immortals. Guardian Shield going to go up for the Protoss. The Marines going to die pretty quickly to that Colossus, but the Colossus gets focused down. The Immortals, the second in the line, eventually going to be taken out as well. +1 is done for Cure. Overcharge being activated, but there's just so much damage coming out here from these Marines. The tanks going to be sieging up behind the ramp, for the wall. We'll start pushing into this third base. The third base will eventually go down. More Stalkers going to get warped in. Another Colossus going to join the fight. An extended Thermal Lance just about done. Be able to kind of help add onto this, but not a bad counterattack coming out from Cure. Zest in some trouble. He is down to 81 supply to 107. He's lost 9 probes during that engagement. But now with the charge lots coming through and even the Colossus in the back, just does not look like Zest is going to have enough here in game number 2. And it looks like Cure is just moments away here from tying things up. There we go, 14 probes, 15 probes do go down. And GG's as Cure ties up the score 1-1. So game number 2 is complete. Game number 3 going to be on Lightshade. Looks like we're going to have ourselves a real fight on our hands. So there we go. Lightshade loading in. Go. Game number 3 coming through. Spotting here in the top left. Red Terran from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Cure. His teammates down in the bottom right. The blue Protoss. It is Zest. Right. Game number 3 coming through, and you know, I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I mean, the first game, it definitely felt like Zest was very much ahead, and I think a lot of that had to do with the early drop being just completely shut down. I think Blink Stalkers is a great way to defend against that, and the fact that, you know, Zest pulled his probes so quickly. You can see Zest right now afraid of a proxy, just checking all routes. He does not want to lose to some kind of crazy proxy, but as we see, it is going to be Cure just in his main base. He does have a second refinery coming down, so it definitely suggests that he's going to be going into, well, some kind of heavy tech, looking to tech up very quickly. So I do think Zest is going to play the Blink Stalkers again. It's kind of his thing. Let's see. Probe not going to be able to get in, and that's actually a nice little play from Cure, realizing that Zest is going to send that probe, try to deal some damage. He does go ahead and just blocks it off, says, hey, I'm going to finish this up. I don't have to worry about that. You're going to go to the factory this time, so not going to be going into that 3 barracks that we saw in the previous game. But we'll see. Probe's still here for Zest, looking around. Still feels like there could be some kind of proxy coming. And as we see, there's not. He's going to take his own expansion, though, so should be more than okay. It is going to be a Reaper for Cure. It's going to be Stargate this time from Zest, so changing it up from the Blink Stalkers. I think he kind of figured that Cure knows what's going on. He's just going to go ahead and back up. Not bad. Did you see the CC coming through now for Cure as well? And yeah, it's just going to go into the reactor, getting Hellion. Eventually we'll get some mines. Looks like he could be going into a mine drop. Double Reaper, actually. Very interesting. Zest shading across with a couple of depths. Eventually we'll get met head on with the Reapers and the Hellion, but the first Reaper does end up falling. Dep's going to cancel the shade, but still head towards the main of the Terran. The Widowmine burrowed up at the top. We'll eventually get the slow, maybe going to cancel onto that expansion. Of course, if the shades do complete, Zest going to have an issue with the Widow Mines. He Just going to continue to put the pressure across the map. Another adept is here. We're going to be a couple of probes going down. 3 probes so far. A 4th probe almost goes down, but now Cure sees that Zest does have that Oracle coming. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of in a good spot here. Leave the Widow Mine down. And honestly, I mean, Zest is still, like, have to kind of be careful with this. It's a nice vision, a nice revelate there. Eventually just going to back home. He knows that he needs to kind of regroup himself. And now if he does end up coming inside the bases with these extra oracles, he's just going to have to revelate. Zest sending across one of the oracles, just trying to get in there, maybe get another revelate. Yeah, just keep an eye on what Cure is doing, of course. Sees the tech labs going down, the additional barracks, and sees it's kind of a standard opening from Cure. Nothing too special, nothing too greedy. Eventually we'll see that there are upgrades coming through. Phoenix going to be the play though here from Zest. So going to go into Phoenix with charge for the eventually the Zealot's going to be made. Of course, we do have the beautiful Hellion coming in, killing off a couple of more probes. There are a lot of Marines with this army and a Viking, so we don't see much getting done. We'll see what happens. Revelate once again, using up that energy as much as possible. Just keep an eye on what is being produced, but it is going to be mainly Marines here. The Oracle is going to come in with the Phoenix. Going to try to pick up a few of the Marines, kind of shoot them down, take care of them. Does pick off, well, it doesn't really pick off anything except for the Marines. Does end up backing up, running out of energy. Did have another. He had another Oracle. Did it go down? That's the last one of his Oracles there. Kind of unfortunate, but we do see Zest throwing out a couple of scouting pylons. Just to kind of make sure if any drops do come across. But again, he basically has everything on Revelate. Now he does end up losing the Oracle. He is still going to be going into this kind of Phoenix count, adding on a few more gates, getting Archons, getting charge slots. It's going to continue on from here. Go 10 seconds away from combat shields, finishing up. Cure not really looking for a big push, but he is just trying to basically kind of bait Zest into these Widow Mines. I don't know, it's one of those things where it does feel like the more Phoenix that Zest gets, it does become a little bit more stronger, but it just feels like against Marines, as long as they can stem underneath it, they should be okay. But I guess that's why you do get those Zealots, you get the Archons, just to kind of help tank a little bit on the ground. +1 finishing up for both sides. Now, the big problem right now is this. There is no observer with this army, so Widow Mines are going to play an important part in this. But, we'll see. So Phoenix is just going to continue to harass. Try to keep the medevac count low. Third base finally landed here for Cure. Zest has been kind of mining off his for a while. So it does allow Zest to kind of furbish this a little bit more. Of course, now he does have observers on the way, throwing down a second robotics facility, as well as throwing in a robotics bay, which will allow him to kind of go into those Colossus. As well as disruptors. Alright, we got attack across the map. We have Widow Mines being burrowed up. Marines trying to push forward. Of course, High Tempo are going to get morphed into those Archons. Guardian Shield has gone down. Of course, a recall does happen of those Phoenix. And now here we go. Once again, one of the Widow Mines does go off. Overcharge being activated will at least help out the charge lots a little bit. Widow Mines going off everywhere, really hurting those Zealots, but there's just so much here left. It actually will force Cure back. He's going to try to take out the Pylon. Not going to happen. And unfortunately, Zest going to send Cure going wee all the way back home as he fights for his life. Another couple of Widow Mines do go off. And, yeah, just not looking good. Of course, reinforcements coming in now for Cure, but Zest just looking too good. GG's. And Zest. Alrighty, guys, without further ado, spawning in the top right in the blue. Keep it up for the Protoss. Zest. In the bottom left in the red. Give it up for the Terran. It is Cure. So, as we get into game number 4 here, Zest's been looking pretty strong. Of course, he's finally getting to where he's using a couple of different, right? It has been that Blink Stalker opening. Last game, decides to go into the Stargate. And even though it looked like Cure had a pretty decent army, just could not handle the mass Zealot. Really just shows you how tanky those Zealots can be. You know, I wouldn't have mind him throwing in a Ghost. But, see the probe going across the map. Going to put on some pressure, maybe even throw down a Pylon. Try to kind of disrupt what Cure wants to do. So by the time it does actually get into the main, barracks is going to be about done. Start trying to put some pressure onto the mineral line itself and try to throw off Cure's count. You know, these pros, they get to such an accuracy where they know just right when to click. Get the most efficiency out of mining. Really makes it to where, you know, they just have enough to push out that one last unit. That could be the difference between winning a game and losing one. You do see the expansion coming out on both sides, of course. Second gas going to be coming out through for Zest. Cybernetics core finished up. And again, we'll kind of see where Zest wants to go. Opening up the different tech ways. Will he go into the Twilight Council? Will he open up into Stargate? And go for that kind of Oracle opening. Again, no, I really got to give it to him. The Oracles played a really important part, just keeping watch on what Cure was doing and eventually just able to kind of essentially counter it. Stargate is on the way for Cure, excuse me, for Zest. The Adept going to be shading across the map now. Looking to go across and put on some pressure once again. What does Cure really have, though? He's got the Marines. He's going to go into that triple barracks play once again, but if Zest somehow sees this, does he then know how to counter this? What's up there? He actually saw it, though. He hasn't saw the extra barracks coming down. There you go. Alright, so Zest's just going to continue to shade his shade up. If he can get into the main, it's going to be very nice for him, but if not, just kind of keep an eye on the army of Cure. And behind it, we do have the Oracle about to pop out, getting chronoed out. Second Oracle going to be on the way. This will be able to get into the main base, maybe pick off a couple of SEVs, or use it later on for Revelates. This does look like Cure going to send out a Reaper. Just barely gonna miss the Oracle, so he doesn't know this is coming. Because he goes into this triple barracks play, he's not gonna have a lot to defend. I mean, he does have a couple of Marines, Stim is about halfway finished, so we'll at least kind of deter Zest for the moment. Then now he also has to deal with... Never mind, he sent the Adept back home. Okay, not bad. Reaper gonna come in, sees that there is a third base, and will be able to make his own if he so chooses. Does have the eBay on the way, which will allow him to make a couple of missile turrets, and eventually we will see him have a solid defense against the Oracles. Now, have a third Oracle coming out? Yes, he did. Finally getting that triple gate, getting gas, so we'll eventually start looking to tech up even more behind this. Now, does he go into that charge lot style again with the Phoenix? I mean, it seemed like it did all right. He's going to throw down the Twilight Council, so there still is that possibility. Oh no, the Marines moving out at the wrong time. 3 Oracles coming in. There aren't the missile turrets, but is he going to get Stim? No, Stim Pack completes just at the last second. So now Cure just going to go straight across. He says, okay, go ahead and do that. Kill off those barracks, but you're going to have to come back home and deal with this. As Stim has finished, he's going to start stimming forward, getting on top of the Oracles. No, he wants that. Once the shield battery, he gets it overcharged, canceled, killed off. Sentries going down. Adepts starting to fall as well, but Zest still putting on some pressure across the map. The third base will eventually fall, and what does Zest have at home? He's only got 3 Adepts, and he's got Blink getting on the way. So, not bad. Finally, a third base on the way. 4 Cure behind this, but he is just going to continue to press up towards the natural. No. Go ahead and move back home. The Oracle's going to come in. They don't have enough energy, though. Just get out of Revelate. Stalkers and those Adepts, Sentries as well, will eventually help to retake that third base. The Adepts looking to come back in, or excuse me, the Oracles come back in, maybe gets a kill on some of these SEVs. It's going to get another Revelate. Okay. They're looking pretty good so far. He's going to send out a few more units. I think more or less just trying to track down these Oracles. If he can shut down the Oracles, he's going to be in a great position. Find it. Third base is about finished up. So we'll see what Cure can do with this. Eventually we are going to see those Oracles coming in once again. Pick off 3 SEVs, killing off from the gas. Maybe we'll have to send a few more, but the thing too is Cura's already oversaturated, so he just sends a couple more. He's like, you know what? Not bad at all. So far, oh good. I was gonna say, so far he doesn't even have a factory. But no, he's got a factory. Nice Revelate. Can eventually see those Oracles moving by once again. There are still some Marines, but it looks like he's going to go for a drop here. Oh no, but the Stalkers and the Sentries looking to pick this up. Gust of Shells does complete. Eventually the Revelate going to come undone. Of course, we do see those Oracles coming through here. Oh no, the Medivacs does drop what they have inside of them. One medevac will go down. The second medevac going to get not targeted. Good force field, so we'll keep Cure back for the time being. One medevac only going to be able to heal. Let's have that third base on the way, but a huge warping of Stalkers coming across the map, and Cure is in some trouble. Going to go straight towards the natural, but here we go. Cure coming in once again. Going to take out the medevacs, so no more healing except for that one single medevac. Be able to take care of the third base, blinking forward. Eventually we'll take care of those SCVs as well. A huge stasis ward as well coming out from Zest. Instantly a recall going to happen. You do see the Stalkers playing an important part here. Marines trying to stem forward, trying to get on top of whatever they can. Does kill off 9, 10 probes. A couple of auto mines at the same time into the third base, getting a huge kill. But, oh my goodness. The third base completely destroyed. The Marines eventually going to be taken out. And this gets cleaned up. And, I mean, I guess overall it came out right. Does feel like Cure is a little bit behind now. He doesn't have his third base. He's going to go for another drop, but he's going to see this. Little minds, though. The biggest thing, though, is Zest with this counterattack. It's going to be so crucial. He's blinking forward. Eventually will kill off this kind of proxy gateway. I hate to see it. Soccer's going to eventually come in here. Probes, sentries, whatever he has. Guardian Shield going to go down. A couple of force fields as well. And, yeah, another Revelate. Of course, it gets on top of the mines, which actually is going to make it very tough for Cure to burrow these. They are going to be seen even if they do burrow. Cure needs to somehow deal with these oracles. They are keeping Zest alive. With more and more stalkers coming through, it does get tougher for Cure. He has that 66 army to 54, so that does make it a little bit easier. He's got +2 on the way. But there is a robotics facility coming through here for Zest. Zest looking to pounce on this pretty quickly. He has a Widow Mine, though, so he's got to be careful. Oh, no, he takes the hit. Scan forward. Guardian Shield going to get activated. A couple of more force fields do go down. Widow Mine's not going to be able to burrow quick enough. Here we go. At least keep Zest back for the time being. There's still a lot of energy left for these sentries. And it looks like Cure. Really is just kind of backed off into a corner at this point. Can't go across and do any damage at the moment. He does have charge on the way here. Is Zest. Cure going to drop into the main. No, but they... Jesus, get completely cleaned up. Cure, though, is at 75 army to the 59 of Zest. And he's still trying to find damage. 57 workers to 48 as looks like Cure wants to go for another attack. These oracles, though, have just been the game saver here for Zest so far. Shield batteries going down. Sees where the army is. Another Revelate going to go off onto the army of Cure, and it looks like we are going to finally get another big attack. There is an Immortal with this army this time. Does he just go into the main? I think that's kind of the call, right? Gets a scan. I have a nice black or backup. Here we go. Force Field's going to go down. Guardian Shields as well. Marines starting to stem forward as well as with those Marauders. A couple of the Widow Mines in the back to try to bait into this, but again, they can be seen at the moment with that Revelate. So Zest just going to hang back. Eventually we'll get on top of those Widow Mines. Using Blink as a micro capability. Loses a sentry. Revelate does go off though. And yeah, I just don't see enough coming out here from Cure. Same time, Zealot's going to go into the third base. Going to start taking out some of the SCVs. And yeah, Zest survives on the front and across the map. Going to eventually kind of back up and recall. And yeah, I mean, both players do have +2, but Zest just doing these sneaky little run-bys. And Cure's whole army across the map, going to make it tough for him. Yeah, I mean, even now Zest's going to see this with the Observer. Going to throw down a couple of Stasis Warts. Eventually we'll try to bait this in. Of course, now Cure knows that that is there. Nice Revelate. We'll keep an eye on those Widow Mines. But it still makes it very tough. Overcharge activated as well as the Force Field. And Zest, can he hold on still? Here we go. Charge Lot's going to get on to everything at home. Huge Widow Mine shot as well. Eventually we'll get cleaned up. Here we go. Still across the map. Stasis Ward's still up. SCVs just trying to find damage wherever they can. Thinking back. Colossus galore. Do got +3 on the way. As well as extend a Thermal Lance. Eventually Zealots do get cleaned up, killing off another 5. Trying to get an attack on into the middle. Eventually we'll be able to back up. Force Field's going to kind of make it a little bit tougher. very nice. Gets the Cybernetics core. We'll basically shut it down so we can't get any more stalkers. Really remakes that. Ghost Stims in once again. Not able to hit the Colossus. Has to back up. Once again, the Oracle is going to come through. Another force to the left. I don't think this is going to be enough. Stalkers just starting to focus down all the Marines. Starting to focus down the Marauders one at a time. Zealots getting on top of this army. Most of the army force is in medevacs and they cannot shoot. It's just not looking good right now for Kira. He's down to 104 supply to 149, and Zest just pushing himself forward more and more. Skin does go down. Sees that the army is still trying to push in here. Behind this, we are going to get a War Prism. We're going to get a few more Zealots, and is a fourth Colossus. Go straight into this oversaturated base, pulling the SCVs with this. A couple of sentries using their force fields, but not going to be enough. 27 SCVs do end up falling. GG's, and Zest takes the victory. That best of 5 finals. What a good series there.